Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Sen.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of What, Where, Why of Warhammer. And today, we're gonna talk about the creepy little angel babies. So, in my game, what happened was, as Titus, after defeating the Xenophil, goes into his space chapel. As he's about to announce his victory, he goes, "Oh my god, what is that?" And then the chaplain goes, "What is what?" And then Titus goes, "Why are you acting like this isn't here?" And then the chaplain goes, "Just ignore him, you guys. It's dramatic." And then Titus goes, "What are these?" The camera zooms out and there's a whole bunch of little angel babies, freaky, creepy little angel babies, and everybody's acting like this is normal.
Yeah, so I've got some sad news for you. That actually is normal. In fact, I was going over the model range last night in preparation for this, and they're actually less normal now than they used to be. Given that you've been playing Space Marine lately.
Yes.
And there's like a chaplain, there's a chapel, there's all this like religious zealotry. What is it about they're just called Cherubs. Sometimes they're called Cherubs. What is it specifically about the Cherubs that makes you think, okay, this is going too far?
Not all of them are complete. It's like half an angel baby sometimes with some cyborg parts.
That makes them more efficient angel babies.
Oh, wait, ew. No, like, it's just not okay.
Are you saying RoboCop's not a real cop?
Peggy 16.
Hey, it's From Software President Hidetaka Miyazaki here. Whenever anyone approaches us and asks us to make a new Souls-like, I send them a photo of my asshole. Nintendo didn't quite get the message, and unfortunately we have to make this now. The entirety of Bloodborne was actually just viral marketing for Duskbloods. For instance, this character here is actually the floating statue in Old Yharnam. In case you couldn't tell, the frog with the big naturals was made by Yui. He's fucking disgusting. This character is stolen entirely from JoJo Part 7, but I've been assured there's never going to be an anime adaptation of it, so we're probably safe. I cut the trailer here to not spoil people, but that's actually the first move of a very exciting dance sequence. Oh fuck, the music stopped. Duskbloods, woo! Every day they're out there fighting. Duskbloods, woo!
Okay, we gotta do this in order.
Okay.
What are the creepy little angel babies?
Okay, they are, within the setting, they're just called Cherubs.
What's a cherub?
A cherub is the word that we use for angel babies in artwork.
Oh, actual angel babies. Sorry, I'm in Warhammer mode.
So you've been calling them angel babies your entire life. That's what I'm getting from you.
I forgot that angel babies are a real thing in real life. That's how much these angel babies disturbed me.
Okay, so now that we've established what the word cherub means, within the Warhammer 40,000 setting, those things are called cherubs. They're sometimes called Cherubs, which you sort of hinted at because some of them have robot parts bolted onto them, but the generic name for them is cherub. Yeah, they are pretty much what you said. They are little floating cherubs, little homunculi things that float around the Imperium doing things.
Is this what Miyazaki sees when he closes his eyes?
I think he just sees his unused asset folder. It's like, ooh, got a place for that axe.
Hello everybody, this is Attribution. For those of you enjoying the episode, please remember to stretch, snack, and hydrate. If any references didn't make sense to you, ask your nearest cultist. And now, back to the podcast.
Now, what is their ew consistency?
Alright, so when you were playing it right, did you see any... They're called Servitors. They're like a human, but they've got like metal bits bolted onto them and they're just kind of mindlessly wandering
Yes.
around. Okay. So those servitors, right, you can make them in a bunch of different ways.
Okay.
So the way that they, according to them, usually make them is they're just vat-grown. They just like grow like a sort of blank, thoughtless humanoid in like a vat somewhere, and then they plug parts into it. But the other way that you can make them is that they are a punishment. So if you're like if you're a criminal, if you're a heretic, if you fuck up really, really badly, your punishment can be we actually just take you and lobotomize you and turn you into one of those things.
So basically, in Warhammer, the punishment is giving you a 9 to 5.
Yes. And the cherubs are a sort of subclass of that. Right. Now, I want to be clear, they're not actually made from babies.
That was my next question.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? They're not made from babies, but
There's a but. Okay.
in the 90s and 2000s, Games Workshop ran a sort of series of like, this is kind of officially sanctioned, but it's written by fan stuff. So there are all these additional like magazines and webzines and what they were calling like living rule books and stuff that they would maintain that fans submitted stuff to, and it was published by Games Workshop, like either physically or on their website, and it was like sanctioned by them, but at the same time it wasn't actually like written by them, and the stuff in there wasn't considered official, so you couldn't like rock up to a tournament and use rules from like Citadel Journal or something like that, or Fnatic. So one of the games that they used to make was called Inquisitor, and it was supposed to be like a sort of a gunfight style thing, so you had like 4 or 5 people per side. And they published a lot of this like kind of semi-official but fan-written stuff for Inquisitor, and one of the things that they published mentioned that they did make servitor cherubs from actual babies. So this was written by a fan. This was not written by Games Workshop themselves, but Games Workshop were responsible for publishing it. So what's happened is that that's just kind of been absorbed into like the semi like official canon space, so people will cite it even though it's literally been mentioned one time and it was in like a semi unofficial publication.
Okay.
Someone did write something about how they would make cherubs out of real babies, and they were called Nephilim, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Okay, we don't talk about it.
So okay. Yeah, so the cyber cherubs in Warhammer, they're alive, but they're grown in like vats, and the exact process is never really explained, but they're described as almost, it's like a project someone has, where they just get a lump of biomass and they kind of shape it into like a cherub shaped body. It's like an artificial, like, it's kind of like Frankenstein or like a homunculus or something. Like, you make this thing. So they're alive and they have like a circulatory system. They've got a brain and everything, but they're described as like, if you touch them, the skin feels artificial. It feels like wax.
Okay.
And like, they don't really have like a consciousness. They're just sort of like aware and they can follow orders. They're more like a robot.
So some of them have like half a body and like
Yeah.
tentacles instead of whatever lower body.
Those are mecha dendrites.
What do they do?
Well, they do a lot of things.
Like, if you build like a horror creepy house and visitors go in there, you want to scare them, one of those pops out.
No, but imagine anything a flying baby could do. They can do that.
What kind of a reborn reference is that?
Hi cultists, Sophie and Sin are currently working on the Season 2 analysis of Reborn. If you want to see their 5-hour analysis of Season 1 of Reborn, please see the pinned comment. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
There's kind of like basic types of like helpful thing that's not a full human that hangs around the Imperium because they don't really like artificial intelligence and they kind of don't really like robots. There are servo skulls, right? Did you see any servo skulls in Space Marine, keeping in mind I haven't played it? Like, just like a floating skull.
A floating skull? Yeah, I think so.
That's considered to be a great honor, that like you served the Emperor in life and then you were so good that after you died, We fitted a little anti-gravity motor to your skull,
Okay.
and now it can float around and still help us.
Is the skull alive?
No.
All right.
It's like a little like a Roomba, but it's a tribute to
a
you.
little Roomba of my own.
So when you think about like a floating skull, it's obviously more useful than not having a floating skull, but they're not like they don't have arms, they don't have hands.
So what do they even do?
They just sort of perform. It's like the droids in Star Wars when you just see little things scurrying around. Like it's just that they're just doing like they're carrying information and like they can alert you. They've got like cameras in the eyes and stuff like that. Characters in Warhammer can have familiars. The idea that you have like something that's like bound to you. They all function as like they can be a kind of companion. But like when you think about the servo skulls, they don't like have hands. So like the utility of the servo skull is kind of limited. The Imperium really, really does not like artificial intelligence. And it also mostly doesn't like robots. So things that in like something like Star Wars would be carried out by like little robots running around, that's not going to be done by robots. That's going to be done by basically something that is possibly alive, but either it wasn't created with the ability to think consciously or it's been lobotomized. So it's not technically a robot, it's more like a zombie. It's like just something that will do what you tell it. So most of those like menial tasks and things would be carried out by something like that. So you have like, there's those floating skulls. If you are a great servant of the Emperor in life, you can have your skull removed after death and fitted with a little like anti-gravity device and just follows people around, and it can like has like cameras in its eye. It's got little like they're called mecha dendrites that hang down below it that it can like interface with computers and stuff. But so let's say like you want someone to carry like your book of hymns around for you. Servo Skull's not going to do that, but a Cherub could do that.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that actually makes perfect sense.
I can actually show you here. Hang on. Here is...
Oh my god, Sophie, what the fudge?
What is your problem with it?
This does not look like a baby angel. That looks like a baby demon.
It's being helpful. It's trying its best.
These guys are way creepier than the angels in the game.
Here's another example.
Oh my god, this is horrible. Why are they like this?
So these are Space Marines, right?
Yes.
But they're so busy purging, they don't have time to reach for more ammunition whilst mid-purge. So luckily, they have a little angel with them who's carrying a spare canister.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, I guess, yeah.
I've got another one.
Oh, this one's a bully. This looks like a bully angel. Oh, is it attached to the Marine?
Yeah, because it's a single piece of metal. So, like, you obviously can't have it actually fly on the table. So there's little trailing parchments are sort of attaching it. So that's a familiar.
Okay.
Yeah, so the idea behind that Cherub is, so that's like bonded to the Space Marine. It will like see things for him. It will make him react faster because it can like sort of take in the surroundings. The exact rules for the Cherubs have been all over the place. And currently in game, basically the Cherubs are just counters. So like, say you have a unit that's got like a once per game ability. That might come with a little model Cherub. So you put them on the table with a little model Cherub, and then when you use that ability, you remove the Cherub to sort of show in-game that, like, okay, I've used that ability. So they don't actually really have, like, stats in the game.
Okay.
They're just like a little upgrade or a little ability that's being demonstrated by the presence of a creepy little angel.
Okay. What I was saying is you could make them float. Have you seen those things, those magnets?
Oh,
float?
it's been, yeah, no, people have done that with Warhammer.
Okay.
I do have some art of the Cherubs.
More? Oh my god.
No, this is I've got a painting of the Cherubs here.
Okay. I was hoping you'd pay something better, Sophie. I was like, oh, this is worse. This is the worst one yet. This is enough for me to start bullying you again. We're gonna go to the good old days because Sophie is like, please describe to people the horror you just pasted here.
So this is a painting by John Blanche, who's the artist who kind of set the tone for what Warhammer 40,000 was. He's actually only recently left Games Workshop, but he was very, very integral in sort of shaping like what the setting looks like. He has this very distinct sort of like Gothic Baroque way of drawing, and I've seen his drawing of the Cyber Cherubs, and there's two of them, and one looks like he's kind of a little punk actually. Got a little spiked up hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of looks like he's giving us the finger.
Yeah.
And then the other one's got a little spiked collar, so maybe this is like the bad boys.
They're so creepy looking. I mean, I was creeped out by the Warhammer ones, but I was wrong. What you've been sending me is really like... And I didn't, like... I wasn't even, like, creeped out by that baby from Silent Hill. Was it not Silent Hill? Resident Evil. There was,
Right.
in Village, I think, there was a giant baby chasing you at some point. I was fine with
I don't
that.
know. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not fine with these things. And this is making me appreciate the game, because they're actually pretty fine there. They're like, it's fine.
Okay.
They're not as creepy as I thought. It looks like literal, like, dead babies. Like, zombified.
Yeah, that's what he's going for.
Oh my god.
But they're not. They're vat-grown. It's very important to stress. Officially, these are not made from actual babies. Unofficially, some might be, but officially they're not.
Can you tell me what are their hobbies and pastimes?
They don't have any because they can't think independently.
Thank you,
Okay,
Sophie.
so this is like a whole other thing that will take hours for me to explain to you, right?
Okay.
So you know how I said like the Imperium doesn't like robots and artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
That's because in the distant past, which is our future now, but it's the year 40,000, so we're talking like the year like 20,000, 10,000, whatever. There was a big technologically advanced human empire before the one that we have now, and this is like deliberately left vague in the background. It's possible this has been elaborated on in one of the hundreds and hundreds of Black Library books I haven't read, but they mention that like that civilization created these things they just call the Men of Iron.
Okay.
And the Men of Iron like led to this massive war. It was sort of like a Skynet situation where like the self-aware AI was fighting the people. And the idea is like, now that we know that's happened, the solution is we just ban AI. So that's why they're relying on things like, these sort of vat-grown homunculus things to fulfill the roles that in, I think, pretty much any other sci-fi setting that would be a robot or a little drone or something. They're using like lobotomized people or like little homunculus babies. So there are technically robots in the setting, but they are the purview of... Did you see any... I think you did. There were these like normal-sized humans in like red robes with like all the little mechanical tentacles. Those are the Mechanicus.
Mm-hmm.
So you love Brotherhood of Steel.
Yay!
This is the closest thing that Warhammer has to the Brotherhood of Steel. I know that you primarily think of the Brotherhood of Steel in terms of power armor.
Yes.
But the Mechanicus are the closest thing to like OG Brotherhood of Steel. So I'm simplifying massively because this is not about the Mechanicus, but the Mechanicus are a cult of machine worshippers who are initially based on Mars. And they have control over basically what is and isn't allowed to be created, because they've hoarded all of the plans, they've hoarded all what are called standard template constructs. They've got control over all this. They're the only ones who really kind of understand how the technology works. And even they themselves don't properly understand it because they view it as like a holy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like questioning the design of a tank is kind of the equivalent of like questioning like something in the Bible. So they have this like mystical reverence for technology, and they worship a god who's just called the Machine God, right? Who, as you can tell from the name, is the god of machines. Now, you're probably aware that the Emperor in Warhammer 40,000, he has kind of a cult around him. It's pretty popular. And a lot of those people think that he is a god. So you can imagine, like, you have a whole galaxy-spanning empire who think the Emperor is a god, but then within that there is this sort of, like, enclave of people who think that actually God is this thing called the machine god. So there's this slight tension between the Imperium and the Mechanicus, even though they're working together. And the way that they try to rationalize that to themselves is they say, okay, the machine god is like a god, but they sense like a messiah figure to guide us. And that messiah figure to the Mechanicus is the Emperor. So they kind of they try to reconcile the two belief systems by saying, yeah, the Emperor is there and he's extremely powerful, but he's actually the messiah of the machine god.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who sent him to guide us. So that's how they kind of explain it. So that's how they kind of rationalize it, but there is this distrust. Did you see any Space Marines that were painted red and had like a mechanical arm on their back?
I don't remember.
Okay, so the Space Marines, because obviously the Space Marines cannot, every single time anything breaks down, take it to Mars. Or the near what are called forge worlds. Like the Mechanicus operate these things called forge worlds that are just basically planet-sized factories. Say, like, you know, your tank breaks down on the battlefield, you're not going to tow it to the nearest forge world to get it fixed.
Yeah.
So the Space Marines will send recruits to, it's sort of like doing a semester on Mars. Like, we'll send, like, we've got a new battle brother, we're going to send him to do, like, specialized training on a forge world with the Mechanicus to understand technology so that if anything goes wrong, we can get him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But because there is that tension between the Mechanicus and the Imperium, after they come back, there's like a slight sort of like, what did they tell you? Like, do we entirely trust you? Have you started having thoughts that are maybe questioning the Emperor's divinity? But also, there are chapters of Space Marines who are very, very tight with the Mechanicus.
Okay.
And they're sort of kind of viewed with suspicion. It's like, well, you say that you're crusading in the name of the Emperor, but you're hanging around with these people who think the Emperor is actually the Messiah sent by a machine god.
Right.
So there's all these slight tensions within the Imperium and how the religious sort of like aspect of it works and who's worshipping what and who views the Emperor as what. So basically, that's why the Imperium does not like having artificial intelligence. It doesn't like having robots at all. Like, did you know that? Did you see the Dreadnought?
Yeah.
That's got a person inside it.
Yeah. It's like, even after you're dead, you can keep working.
Yeah, it's a little more obvious on the older designs because the new ones have this like armored shell on the front, but there's literally, it's a coffin. Like the pilot is in a sarcophagus and then they just like drag them out and it's like, wake up! And they plug them into the Dreadnought and have them go. So the Mechanicus have like robots, but they're not intelligent robots. They're controlled by, they're called cyber somethings. They're these guys who just wander around basically giving them orders like a drone operator. So that is the long way of saying that's why the Imperium use weird little angel things. Because they're not artificially intelligent. To sort of further convolute it, the little angels are actually made by the Mechanicus because along with the Mechanicus obsessing over machines, there's specialized members of the Mechanicus called the Magi Biologists who focus on like the human body, almost like the human body is a machine and understanding how it all functions, and they're the ones that actually make the angels. But yeah, one of the reasons that like within the setting that they have these angels is that it's branding. It's an aesthetic thing. Because if you're obsessed with the idea of the Emperor as like a divine figure, it makes sense to surround him with little angels and surround yourself with these little angels to sort of make yourself look more divine. You're just staring.
I'm processing.
You're processing, okay. And some just like rich people have a cherub made for them because it's like being Joe Exotic. It's like having an exotic pet.
Wait, there's rich people in the Warhammer universe?
Yeah, hang on. I mean, it's a universe. You can have all kinds of people in it.
No, I thought it was just Space Marines and Xenos filth.
So those are called spirers.
Okay, look
Those
at the creepy
are-
little vampire baby.
Those are Nepo babies That
Nepo
get-
babies?
that get anime power suits and then go and beat up poor people.
Oh no!
And to show
There's
that
poor
they're
people in
quite...
the universe too?
Yeah.
Aww.
And to show that they're from like a very wealthy background, you can see they've got a very, very nicely sculpted little cherub with them.
Oh my god. Okay, now I'm going... You have to explain to me. So
Okay.
there's the universe, right?
Correct.
So it's not just a bunch of cool space marines?
No, it's a whole universe. So like there's all these different planets that are all functioning slightly differently but are under the control of the Imperium. So there's planets that are at like a medieval level of technology. And there's like planets that are kind of like Conan the Barbarian, everyone's walking around in their underwear punching each other. And there's like we were saying, there were Forge World planets that are just a giant factory. The one I sent you with the two rich kids and the cherub, like that's from what's called a hive world, which is just an enormous like population center. And they're called spirers because they're from the spire that is at the center of that. That's like the highest part of it, like the skyscraper in Oedo.
Okay, yeah.
They're from that. So like the rich people live up the top. So all these planets like exist. There's a degree of autonomy and independence because they're all completely different. But as long as like you basically do what the Imperium tells you, like they're not like they will probably just let you get on with it.
So we could be in that structure, and as long as we're like Emperor is God or whatever, we just go on living our lives.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, like there's planets that are on like a medieval level of technology, right?
We're not medieval. I'm talking about our planet, Sophie.
But our planet's Earth.
There's Earth in Warhammer? I'm so confused right now. This is so
there's
complicated.
Earth. Yes, it's not actually that Earth's the one planet that's easiest to explain, I think, because it's this one.
Is it like that? Is it like some people sitting down doing
No,
podcasts?
because Earth's where. Well, I mean, there probably are podcasts. Earth's where the Emperor's from.
Wait, Emperor's from Earth?
Yeah, he's canonically Turkish.
Wait, canonically, I mean...
No, he's from Earth.
You see, I was so focused on the cool space marines.
Yeah.
I think I just ignored everything else you may have told me and
Okay.
forgot logic.
He makes the Space Marines. They technically like the old Space Marine templates from Earth, the thing he uses to make them.
Were space marines just made by Earthling scientists in the 20th
You know, we
century?
literally did a whole video where I told you all of this, and
I
it's just gone
literally
totally...
only remember the Emperor
Okay,
is really
okay,
cute. And
okay,
then
yeah,
the Sound
okay,
Marines have their own
okay.
cute guy, and everybody's
Yeah.
adorable. And then pew,
Okay.
pew, pow, pow. Yeah.
Okay, so the Emperor is born on Earth. He's technically alive now. He's born in, like, I think 3000 BC
No, that's
or
not
something.
my Emperor. I know what you're saying, and you're a heretic. You and Al-Hazred are both heretics. That person on the throne is not the Emperor.
No, he's not the person on the throne yet.
Oh, okay. Then that's fine.
He's a big buff Turkish guy. Right.
Okay, that's fine. That's perfect.
Right. So what happens is he's immortal.
Of course.
So he just lives throughout human history.
Wait, is that like fact or allegedly?
It's fact now, but arguably, like in the early editions, you could read it as just a myth they came up with to justify it. But like the thing is, I mean, that's a whole separate video in itself. But like, no, it is because like I know this shit back to like the late 1980s, and in that it's like if you read the stuff from the 1980s, you could very easily come away and say all the stuff about the Emperor and how he's protecting us and all that other stuff. That's not true. That's just a myth they came up with to justify this like space fascist regime. Whereas now they've pretty much set it in stone canonically. No, that is actually what happened. So like, if you look at like the old Rogue Trader books, it's like the Emperor's in them, but he just looks like a 200-year-old man. and he's like hooked up to all these tubes, and it's like, well, we have to keep sacrificing people to keep this guy alive, and if we don't keep him alive, he's protecting us, and if we don't keep him alive, like the whole universe will be destroyed by all these monsters that only he's strong enough to save us from. But that's all just described to you as like, this is what everyone's saying. So you could very easily see that as like, okay, well, actually this could just be like someone who didn't want to have to give up his position of power invented this story to justify why he's there. Whereas now, canonically, like, yeah, actually, if the Emperor dies or gets off his throne, like, the world is immediately destroyed in this enormous, like, sort of wormhole thing will open and flood everything with demons and we'll all die. But yeah, so the Emperor is born in, like, 3000 BC in Turkey.
BC?
And he's immortal. Yes.
Like, way back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. This was supposed to just be about the little cherubs. Right, okay. He's immortal, so he just hangs around throughout human history, right? The world collapses, and it sort of becomes like an MD Geist-style Mad Max.
What year does that happen?
I don't know. They don't really give you exact dates when it's that far back. But, like, the world sort of collapses in on itself. It becomes this, like, sort of wastelandy, like, warring factions thing, and that's when the Emperor is like, okay, now we'll unify the planet. So he creates these super soldiers that are called Thunder Warriors.
Was nobody weirded out that this guy's like 3,000 years old?
They don't know it. He hasn't told them. He's
How
just a
does
guy.
he keep just like... Well, no, you can't just
but
be
also
a guy.
there's other people that are 3,000 years old as well.
So this is like normal.
It's not normal. But
like if
they all kind of know each other.
If I'm 3,000 years old, like at some point my passport is going to look suspicious. Like
they don't really go into detail about how his passport worked. But like all the immortal people, they kind of know each other, and there's kind of like a behind the scenes conspiracy thing going on. I'm sure there is like an excruciatingly detailed version of this somewhere that I haven't read. Point is, he creates these things called Thunder Warriors.
Right.
Which are like just say like big roided out guys.
Okay, yeah.
And he uses them, much like MD Geist, in fact. He creates an army of MD Geists, and he uses that to just, like, basically take over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, forcibly, like, suppress everything and say, okay, I'm in charge now. And the Thunder Warriors, after he's done with them, he's like, okay, now I can... but the Thunder Warriors are genetically unstable, because he's just basically shoved all this stuff in them to make them really strong. They start breaking down, they start kind of like going mad, and then he produces the Space Marines based on the Thunder Warrior sort of template. So like Thunder Warriors are sort of Space Marine like alpha version.
Okay.
Like the alpha, like this is like the test version of the Space Marines, and then he sends the Space Marines in to kill all of the Thunder Warriors. And then once he's got his Space Marine project up and running, he's like, okay, now I'm going to do what I did on Earth to the whole universe.
Okay.
So he has like, I've got Thunder Warriors, but better. I'm going to pack them into spaceships, and we're just going to send them out into the universe and just take everything over. That's how it all starts.
So that seems a little like, what do you call it? Megalomaniac?
Yeah. It's actually, if you think about it, it's the exact plan that Bison has in the Street Fighter movie.
I guess after 3,000 years or whatever, you're immortal, you're bored, you're like, let's do this. Like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so remember the Cherubs that we started talking about 45 minutes ago? Yeah.
Thank you, Sophie. Let's move on to where.
Okay.
Where are the Cherubs?
They're everywhere that wants to look holy.
Okay.
So hang on, I'll show you. I don't think there's any Sisters of Battle in the Space Marine game. They're like space nuns.
Super nuns, yeah.
Yeah, here we go. So you can see they've got some.
I think you told me they love the Emperor the most, right?
Yeah, they're the ones who were straight up like the Emperor as God.
And they're like human or something. Like, I remember you said I could probably join them, right?
Space Marines go through this process of like biological augmentation that starts when they're a child. And if you don't get them at that age it doesn't work. Whereas Sisters of Battle, like, they're just regular humans.
They look so cool.
Yeah, so if you want to look holy, you get a cherub, possibly more.
Okay.
Actually, hang on. I think this is the most cherubs.
Oh my god, they're so holy! Look at all these cherubs. They're extra holy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So like I said, they're basically like a branding thing. They're like showing
Okay.
that we're the holiest because we have all this angel imagery. Also, if you're a space marine, like I said, less so now. Because they used to make space marines with little cherubs, and they're kind of being phased out. I don't know if they're actually going to make them just a Sister of Battle thing. But yeah, say you're like you want like a little familiar, or you want like someone to help reload your gun or something. Just grab a cherub.
You know, I keep saying this, but I'm so happy like I like never got tattoos or whatever. Because if I was into it, I'd already be covered in like Fallout, fucking cherubs, I love the Emperor, like all
Yeah.
that stupid shit. Night Rain, Dusk Blood.
From the mind of Hidetaka Miyazaki, more undead people fighting in a war-torn land shrouded in mist. Yes, Dark Souls was 15 years ago.
No, Sophie, tell me the thing you told me before.
From the XX_unused_asset folder of Hidetaka Miyazaki. What if Iron Golem was purple?
You know what the problem is now? That's gonna be the Fallout problem where fucking Henry Cavill's gonna make a series about this shit, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, all the normies know about Warhammer now. We have to find a new thing.
What I like is you've discovered it at the exact point every other norm discovered it. This is like those people who got on board with Armored Core when 6 was announced and then said I was a casual tourist.
So we should like start covering something more obscure. I just heard of this game called Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, what's it about?
I don't know. Something about cars. Now, Sophie, let's
Yes.
move on to why. Why are the freaky
I think
little
we
angel
covered that.
babies?
We talked about how they don't like using AI or robots, so they make little biosculpted cherubs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah, we also covered the entire backstory of the setting because you'd somehow forgotten it.
It's just selective memory, I guess. Like, I'm not a historian, you know. I'm just like,
It's not real.
oh my god, what is this old man baby?
Oh yeah, it's got a. Is that a goatee? Oh my god! He looks like he should be in like a metal band.
Yes, he has an umbilical cord connected to his weapon.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, that's pretty cool. Very spoopy. Okay, so he does know. They do know how to use weapons.
Okay, so you go to pick up a cherub and they're all a little out of your price range.
Uh-huh.
But then you see one that's been marked down.
Yeah.
And you grab it and you take it home and it's just like bashing into stuff when it's flying around, just dropping things.
Okay, how do I get my hands on the baby cherub? Like, I changed my mind. I went from not liking them at all to wanting one. Let's see.
Okay, you'd have to be quite wealthy within the setting.
Okay.
So I'm going to need you to marry into one of the ruling houses of Necromunda. And then you might be able to afford one.
Can I marry the Emperor?
Not physically.
Can I marry the guy with the blonde hair?
You'll have to be a lot more specific than that.
The Sound Marine guy with the blonde hair.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's. I just assume the entire Emperor's children is just a massive polycule. So, here's one. It's carrying a little box.
Oh, is that his face or is he wearing a mask?
No, I think its head is actually a skull.
What is happening? How?
Oh, that's the part that seems weird to you. What I like is this entire episode has happened because you've been exposed to the universe of Warhammer 40,000. And you've been like, oh, okay, seems cool. And then you've seen a single baby and gone, that's not right.
Sophie, do the outro.
That was What, Where, Why, The Cherubs. It was supposed to be short because we were supposed to do 2 episodes back to back, and turns out Sin's forgotten everything about Warhammer 40,000 because the Cherub just freaked her out so much that it just took up that whole part of her brain. So, I guess we'll have to record that one tomorrow.
Yeah, big hype. Aren't you excited, Sophie?
Yeah. The problem is I'm just looking at all of the shit that's in Warhammer 40,000. I'm going to be like, all of these things is going to take like minimum 2 hours each, because you're going to have the entire backstory explained to you every single time. You're like, yes, his canonical name is actually Neon. Yes, he might have been St. George.
Well, thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Sin.
Thank you, little creepy angels. Do they speak?
I don't think so. They might have like a speaker fitted into them someone could talk to you through, like their phone.
What do you want? Oh, that sounded like a worse version of your Virgo.
What do you want? Ow! Like a sister of battle needs to reload her multi-null. It's like, I got my own problems, lady!
God.
Leave me out of this!
Alright. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Sin.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. And see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duskburg. Emil Dio, cleric beast, legally not bloodborne. Might fuck with gravity, or wear a onesie. Duskbloods, woo. Every day they're out there fighting Duskbloods, woo. Headless horse, big titty frog, it's Duskbloods, woo. Maria, she's in this now. We approved of this thing somehow. What to do, just pre-order some Duskbloods, woo. Not melty blood or over blood, it's Duskbloods, woo woo. Fucking Christ.